This podcast is brought to you by the Deluxe Edition Network. To find more great shows on our network, head over to theden.show.
Hold on, stop. Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.
What is going on? And welcome to Take on the World with
John Boy.
John Boy, Walton, and Mike D.
Mike D.
We are back again for your listening pleasure.
It's been a while since the original gang was together.
It's been a while since the regular gang was together. Get busy living. Get busy dying. So we're back. We have a good topic for today. I had fun researching it.
I did, yeah, I did too. This is another one of mine that I didn't really research the topic, but I've watched videos and just been interested in it for a long time.
I see you have Yeti ball gagged on your microphone there.
That's the way. You ever hear a Yeti in the wild ball gagged?
You know John was there.
You start hollering back and you come on down. It's going to be a good time.
So, today was the first day that we tapped the second annual edition of Take on the World Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Much better.
Way better.
It's only been carbonating for a couple days, so it's not quite there carbonation-wise yet. Probably by next week, if I keep it under the same pressure. But the taste is so much better.
Oh my God, yeah. This actually is a beer-flavored
beverage.
The other one was something wrong.
This, with the malts and the caramel malts in it, you get a pretzel aftertaste, which I love.
Yeah.
Bready. The initial taste, it's very clean. I think it's a little weaker than it should be. I think the alcohol content's somewhere around 4.5.
But this is something definitely that you could tweak. I would not, like I said before, I wouldn't change. You got something going on here. Yeah. I would keep that.
I think the biggest difference I would make is I would use a lager yeast instead of an ale yeast.
Okay.
What happened with this batch, of course, I always make a mistake somehow. I made this batch, and then we got a very cold snap. And my basement got down to 58 degrees. And the yeast went dormant in the middle of fermentation. So I got some lights, some incandescent lights, and I pointed them at the bucket. As soon as I got the bucket warmed back up, it went back to fermenting properly. I don't know if that caused some loss.
I'm sure.
In the alcohol content. But with the amount of grains I use with this alcohol content should have been up around 6 or 7 easy. So I do have some more work to do on it. I enjoy it. This one will not get dumped out.
No.
This one would definitely get dumped down my throat.
And I can only assume it's going to get better the older it gets.
Yeah, the longer it sits. I think in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's going to be fine. I think I'm going to get the ingredients to do another one exactly like this, with the exception of using lager yeast.
Okay.
So it'll
good choice.
Take longer to ferment. And maybe do a secondary fermentation on it, which is what you're supposed to do.
But my biggest contribute to this is write down exactly what you do.
I did.
Every time.
I did this time.
Like I would.
And I have a form that I use. It's on my computer. I bring my computer down and I put it right in as I'm doing it, how long it boiled. Every mistake I make goes on the form.
Sweet.
So I'm happy with this one. I think actually if I took some brewer's salt and I put it in there now and let it mix in, it would be just like the pretzel beer,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
which is a good thing. It's just that's not an Oktoberfest.
No.
So anyway, happy with that. So we had our very first tap off it. We both had a glass, and I don't have my tap set up right, so there's a lot of foam. But cheers to this one. Ah, that was good. I was scared because when I tasted it before it was carbonated, right when it came out of fermentation, as I was putting it in a keg, and I was like, oh, what did I do now? It didn't. There's no off flavors, so that there was no mistakes that way. But
you got to perfect your recipe. You know.
I think, as much as I like to do all grain, I might take a little powdered malt extract and then throw it in there in the boil and
Try it.
and maybe remove some of my 13 pounds of grain that I used.
So I don't know. Is that a lot? I guess you kind of.
I don't know. When I look at the 13 pounds of grain, like all grain, it was a huge bag. I didn't know it was going to fit in my. I didn't know how I was going to get it into the mash tun. But anyway, it came out good. I enjoy it. I'm glad to be brewing again. I'm kind of excited about it with the new brew system.
And like I said to you, I would work on just a good solid beer.
Well, what I want to do is get each one of these down and then move on to another style.
Yeah.
So I'll do this one again.
So this one being in Oktoberfest.
An Oktoberfest. I'll use the same recipe. I won't do the powdered malt extract. I'll do all grain again. I won't change any of the grains. I will change the yeast and see if that does anything.
If anything, I thought the yeast could be stronger.
Yeah,
It'd be a pretzel beer.
Now, this time I used a liquid yeast, which was the first time I've used a liquid yeast. I've always used a powdered yeast before. You just kind of sprinkle it in and stir it around. The liquid yeast is the same thing, except it's a little more expensive, but
I think that this liquid yeast, it tasted like fucking bread. Like that bread that you gave me upstairs.
Oh yeah,
it was like you sliced a piece of that, and I was eating the same thing.
So today for the meat therapy, I took the kielbasa that I made before. We got some out of the freezer. I sliced it up. I do onions and peppers in butter, and then I take the onions and peppers, put them in a crock pot, and then I take all the kielbasa with some more butter in the pan, and I just let it saute in the butter and the juices from the onions and peppers, and then I put all that in a crock pot, mix it up. But I went out to Tamaqua, to Fedora's Bakery, and got what I think is the best bread I've had in a long time. I love Fedora's Bakery.
I never had it till today. I'm telling you, I'm a big bread fan. In case you didn't notice.
Well, in case you didn't notice, I love some bread.
But this bread is fantastic.
So usually he's got a line out there to get bread, like around the holidays. You got to pre-order. You can't really just show up. I did because I know him. I texted him and I said, "Hey, you making bread today? You mind if I stop out?"
Get the fuck out of my shop, asshole!
He's a nice guy. I know him for a few years. We're pretty good friends.
Dude, you didn't just come home with like a loaf of bread.
Oh no, I came home.
You came home with like
a dozen rolls.
20 loaves on your table.
There's a dozen.
Some in your fridge.
14-inch loaves.
And then when I got here, he cut me off a slice. Oh!
I will tell you, as soon as I got in the house, I'm like, "Give me butter." I cut some off and put some butter on it. Oh,
that would only make it 10 times better, but it doesn't even need butter.
It was still warm. My whole car smells like bread. So I'm always saying. And by the way, I'm not being paid for this. I've always loved Fedora's bread as long as I have lived in this county.
I can't believe I've never heard of this.
It's a little itty bitty bakery, and it's like I said, the oven is like a 400-year-old coal oven, and it's just Oh my god, it's so good.
Well, there was that. What the hell was that? Pardon me. That coal oven with the pretzels down in Reading.
Yeah.
And that got run out of business.
Yep. And that place was cool too.
Their pretzels were fucking
soft
awesome.
pretzels from what was it, Bell City Pretzels or something like that.
Yeah. And it was a staple for that part of town.
And they tried to save it. It just
couldn't.
No, and I think when COVID hit, that would have been the end of it anyway.
Yeah. I think they were done before COVID.
They were, but I remember going down there and getting pretzels for everybody at the shop a couple times.
Something Avenue. Bell Avenue?
It might have been.
I think that's what it was, Bell Avenue.
But I missed that place. You always miss the great ones when they're gone.
Yeah.
So, today's topic, bro.
This is a long thought over topic.
And we mentioned that we were going to do this.
And this is something I've been interested in forever. Not that I want to do it, but
I think if I were younger, I'd think about it. But after watching some of the videos that I watched, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, no.
And it's not because. Well, we'll talk about it. We're talking about Mount Everest and people who summit Mount Everest.
In fact,
and I focused on what was left behind by these people.
This is what I wanted to ask you. Like, what do you want to name this episode? I don't want to just name it Mount Everest because it's not just
Oktoberfest in Everest.
It's like the buckery of Mount Everest or something. Or like you can go.
Well,
I kind of want to make it like more interesting to somebody that might want. If I just saw like Mount Everest or somebody.
Well, they have the
Everest.
dark side of wrestling. This will be the dark side of Mount Everest.
Okay. All right.
But so I focused on some of the negatives.
I'm not sure there's really many positives of Mount Everest.
No, and the more I watch it, the more I'm like, why?
Yeah.
So Mount Everest is in Nepal.
Yes.
It's 29,031 feet high.
And actually, it's actually growing. Because it's on an ice field. It's constantly shifting.
Like everybody in Nepal got excited at one time?
I mean, not going to be like growing from year to year, but it is actively a growing mountain.
So it is ranked number 1 highest in the world?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the summit of all summits.
So the first person to summit it, the first legit official person to summit it was Sir Edmund Hillary. And he did so with the help of a Sherpa. And the Sherpas are people who live on the mountain. And their bodies are equipped to deal with the lower oxygen levels.
Or they're indigenous people who live in Kathmandu who are hired to take you.
Supposedly the Sherpan people from the video, they live there, and really because they're so isolated, the only form of income they have is to guide people up this mountain.
Yeah.
So I'll talk more about them later because it's a double-edged sword with saying I don't think anybody should ever climb this mountain again because these people count on these people to make money. But so actually George Mallory was thought to have summited before that. George Mallory and Andrew Irvin. However, they were never heard from again. So no one knows for sure if they made it or not. So they could be in one of those crevasses, hanging upside down, frozen to death.
Wasn't there a monument made to George Mallory?
Someplace, yeah.
And he was like one of the first. This was like in the 1800s, wasn't it? Or early 1900s?
Let's see. Can't read over there. For some reason, my eyes are not working today. The date's 1924.
Okay, yeah. Was that the first attempt at the summit?
I don't think it's the first attempt. It says in the 1924 expedition resulted in one of the greatest mysteries on Everest to this day. George Mallory, Andrew Irvin made the final summit attempt on 8 June, but never returned, sparking debate on whether they reached the top at all.
Right.
Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary made the first official ascent in 1953. Wow, that's a long time between those two.
And I believe the picture that is thrown up here, that is the north side of the mountain. Now the south side is more like a straight drop off, which both sides have been summited.
Wow. So, do you want to start off and then I'll go over my shit?
Sure.
Because my stuff is really the dark side.
Okay. As of January 2021, 305 people have died while attempting to climb Mount Everest. The majority of the dead are still on the mountain. Some of the bodies have not been found. Some serve as grimmer markers along the route, and some are exposed years later when weather changes.
So you climb this mountain, and they'll say, turn left, the green boot guy.
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't know.
Well, also, I watched a video before I came over here, and the one guy was saying that it's a shifting glacier. So at parts that they were like last year we were here, we didn't see any of these dead bodies.
Right.
Now this year, 4 fresh ones washed up.
And they say that some of the bodies were there are crushed under the glacier. And also the wind, and now I think the average temperature on Everest is -4 degrees to -40.
Right.
Fahrenheit. So, and the winds can whip enough to pick up a 200-pound man and move him. So some of these bodies, when they go back, aren't in the same spot because the wind comes by, sweeps them up, and moves them. Some of these bodies are so frozen into the ground that they've tried recovery efforts to get the bodies back. Like the family pays.
You can't get them out of the ice.
And they got to sit there. It takes them days to chip them out of the ice. The problem I have with that is they're paying these Sherpas to go up on a recovery thing. And the Sherpas take the money because it's the only way they can make money. But they go up there and they all risk their own lives just to get a dead body off the mountain. And I understand the family wants the body back, but I guess now when you go up, they have contracts they get to sign. Whether if you want a recovery effort for your body, you prepay. And if not, you say I'm fine with my body staying up there.
Well,
that's grim.
What I watched today, that like basically you're operating. We'll get there. I don't want to jump ahead.
So basically, to make this climb, you have to get a permit from the Nepalese government. And
which I would imagine this call, if you want your body recovered, you're going to pay an exorbitant amount of money for fresh Sherpas, not anybody else, to come try and drag your frozen ass off that mountain.
Well, they also, in the contract, it says they will try, but it doesn't guarantee success.
Yeah.
The permit to climb Everest is like $20,000.
So you're looking at like, what, $20,000 to get there?
$20,000 just for the permit. Yeah.
Who knows how much to pay a Sherpa? Your equipment and it's got to be.
Well, this is
the financial part of it is.
I'm gonna jump into this.
Mind-boggling.
I'm gonna jump into this because this is the problem I have with people. Some people, not all people. Some people who go to climb this mountain, they go up and they want to take all the amenities of home with them. And these, like, I'm talking like picnic tables and fucking all this food and heaters and luxuries of home and these big heavy tents. And will they carry themselves up and they pay these Sherpas to carry all their shit up. So these Sherpas have to go up and down a mountain with their crap.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do this, then freaking do it and do it by yourself.
The Sherpas don't just go up once; they go up multiple times.
Oh yeah.
So they're while you're going up, they're taking your shit up to you to the next base camp, coming back down, grabbing more of your shit, bringing it back up. So as you're just ascending slowly, they're making multiple trips, in between.
And I think that is the epitome of arrogance. Yeah, I summited Everest, but I didn't do it by myself. You don't tell nobody that. You didn't tell them that these people were carrying your shit up and down the mountain for you.
I think that's the whole that's the whole weird allure of Everest. It's a bunch of cocky motherfuckers. Like a lot of these videos I watch, are a lot of like California guys. Like, yeah, you know what? All right, bruh, you have to stop. We need to take a breath with blood pressure. And we call them Sherpas while we drink tea.
That guy sounded like he was from California by way of Australia.
Well, you know how it is.
I watched the video and they interviewed this doctor, and I think she tried to summit 3 times. So the first time she went up, there was an accident, and like 11 or 12 Sherpas were killed at one time. And she was a doctor, and she put aside her climb to help these people. And then the second time she went up, something else happened. There was an avalanche onto the camp. And again, she put aside her climb to help people, which is admirable. But she goes back another time knowing that all these people, most of these people that were killed, were people that made it so she could be there. It was Sherpas and all, like they all died just so you could get your glory of summiting the mountain. And I think in her third attempt, she finally summited the mountain. And then she sat back. She goes, well, it makes me wonder if anybody should be doing that because, well, then why'd you go 3 freaking times?
I think it's a sickness that it's like an addiction. And any addiction just.
But if you
can't really like describe it, it just takes a hold of you.
But if you have an addiction,
you don't care who the fuck is in the path. You just do what you want to do.
If you have an addiction for the adrenaline rush of doing this, then do it and put your own self at risk. Don't put other people at risk.
I think there's more to it than that, though. Because like when you go there, like yes, you're like, it's not like those Sherpas don't want to be there. They're being paid.
No, they don't want to be there. I will tell you, they don't want to be there because I watched interviews, and they interviewed one of the Sherpas. So,
but they go there.
Here's the story. This guy, and I don't know where. I think he was from Pakistan. He went there. He was not a experienced climber. The more senior Sherpa says, I'm not taking him. As they should. But they made one of the junior guys, they told him, you have no choice, you got to take him. So they took him up. So this guy's going up, and he's starting to get the altitude sickness. But, he sees the summit in sight, and he wants to keep going. And they finally get to the top. Well, then the guy had no strength to go back down because once you get into that death zone on the mountain, which we'll talk about, your body starts using more oxygen than you could take in. And it actually starts eating your body from the inside.
You're dying.
You're dying. And so this guy's dying by the time he gets to the top. He starts down and he starts collapsing. He starts getting the altitude sickness, the hypothermia. And this young Sherpa is like, and the lady who I was talking about, she actually helped them. They're like, you got to keep going. He's telling this Pakistani guy, you got to keep going. He goes, no, let's just stay here. So they're ready to die. And they finally get someone to come up and help them and guide them down. The both of them. The Sherpa lost all his fingers from frostbite. The other guy almost died. This doctor who I had talked about actually saved both of their lives and ended up not summoning because of it. But like, that's when they interviewed the other Sherpa, and they said, "Well, if you didn't have to be there, would you be there?" He goes, "Absolutely not."
Right, but they're there.
They're there because the money.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
It's
fucked up. The whole thing's messed up. it's like you have these rich people here, almost like, would you say like preying on people who are poor, or just like?
I feel in this situation they're preying on them. I think
you know, as a Sherpa, you could be say, I mean, you live in like Kathmandu. It's on a fucking mountain base, a small Nepal town, and you got no way out of here. Well, now here's your way out of here. Some rich fucking American, Canadian, Swiss person, German person, whoever, comes by and says, we're going to pay you $50,000 to lead us up this mountain and come back down safely.
I don't think they make that much.
It could be, well, whatever. I mean,
whatever it is, I mean, it's a lot of money for them. But they have outfitters, and the outfitters hire these Sherpas.
Right.
And I'm sure that it's like going to Lowe's. Lowe's might be a multi-billion-dollar corporation, but they're paying their people $16 an hour.
You think it's that bad?
I don't know. Honestly, I was disgusted by this, so I didn't look much further.
It is. I know what you're saying. It is. Like, they're being used. Like, you know,
absolutely.
It's what other income do they have in that area, other than some selfish person who doesn't care whether they die on the mountain face or not, and they just want to summit.
And if John wants to climb and he doesn't care whether he dies in the mountain face, more power to you, brother. Do your thing. You do you.
And they
but
actually
you're dragging along other people who do care if they die.
They do say that though. When you know, that's like the altitude sickness. When you get up that high, it's like your brain is not functioning correctly, and it's like, I don't care if I just die. I don't care if I lay down in the snow and just go to sleep.
Well, it also makes me. This makes me think of how planet Earth in itself has been made to sustain life and how perfect it is. Because if you have,
we're meant to hike Mount Everest.
If you have too much oxygen, you get hallucinations and shit. Because when you dive, if you get too much oxygen and that's why they use the nitrox when you go deep diving. You get too much nitrogen and oxygen in your blood, and you go wacky. You go too high, you don't have enough, you go wacky.
Yeah.
But if you stay where you're supposed to be, assholes, you can live just fine.
They say that I forget if it was the summit of Mount Everest. We'll just say the summit. But up in that area, in the death zone, there is 30% of the oxygen that we have down here at sea level.
Yeah.
30%.
Yeah.
So could you imagine trying to like breathe?
Well, I know how it was when we got off the airplane in Colorado, in Denver. Like, we were just walking through we were walking through the terminal fast.
Yeah, we had to go up those stairs.
We had to go up and down the stairs, and we were carrying some shit.
It was hard.
But I'm telling you what, I was huffing and puffing, and it wasn't just because I was fat.
Yeah.
So to go higher than that, and we did, like, we acclimated to that after a couple of days.
You did have a headache, though, you said.
Yeah.
And that you said that's the number one symptom of altitude sickness is a headache.
Well, you end up
and it can last for like 2 weeks.
You end up with fluid on your brain, and it'll kill you. So there's as many as 200 bodies still up there on the mountain, just frozen in place.
But may I add, ever shifting, because
yes, ever shifting.
It's
not all of them are moving, but
growing mountain.
A lot of them.
It is
because all the people in Nepal are happy. It grows inch by inch.
I love to show it to you. But it's all like you said, like the Rockies are slowly crumbling. The Appalachian Mountain Trail used to be bigger, or if not as big as the Rockies, but they're twice as old, and they just crumbled to nothing.
2/3 of the people who died on Everest are still there. Their bodies are still there. And the thing that disgusts me the most about this is the amount of trash that these hikers or these climbers leave behind. Like, it's like ridiculous amounts of trash. Like, if you're going to take it up, bring it down.
But they can't.
You pigs.
You can't. That's the selfishness of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because
so these people leave their tents and everything. And what they do is they'll tear their, like, a lot of these expeditions are to to do this are funded, and their name is on the tent. Well, they'll tear the company name or whatever off the tent, so it can't be traced back to them.
So I guess Camp 4 is, I don't know where it is out on the mountain, but the guy literally says, he's like, welcome to Camp 4, the highest junk mountain on planet Earth, or the highest junkyard on planet Earth. He goes, whatever you need, we got it here. We got empty oxygen, we got oxygen bottles left over from dead people, but it still have shit in them, tent poles, tent stakes, whatever you need, just grab it and take it.
Yeah.
And it literally looks like a junkyard.
Well, if you see, like, now after the season, these Sherpas get paid to go up and clean up a lot of the trash and then have to hike the trash back down the mountain. Like, why? People who are outdoorsy are supposed to be environmentally conscious. And how they could be such pigs, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's selfishness because every step going up, it's a fight. You take a step, you take 5 breaths. You take another step. So any kind of weight you carry with you, you can't afford to.
So I have a couple examples of people who died on a mountain. Eleanor Schmatz, 1940 to 1979, at age 39, was the first woman to die on Everest. She was a German mountaineer who succeeded in reaching the top of the mountain, but died from exhaustion on the way down, which happens a lot. A lot of the stories I saw, people summit and then they die on the way down.
They said the hardest part is coming down because you're like, I did it. I'm gonna make mistakes, and like you have to pay more attention. Summiting is the halfway point, you say.
Yeah. So she sat down because she was tired. She was just going to rest. She leaned back on her backpack, and she froze in that spot with her eyes open.
And this is a constant thing. This is that weird edema, or whatever they call it. It's not that. But it's like you get. So like, I don't care if I walk. I don't care if I die. I don't care if I lay down in the snow. I'm happy.
Well, the odd thing is, I watch the 911 shows and the ones in Texas, and they're talking about the snowstorm they had last year. Like that's part of the storyline now.
Yeah.
And it got so cold there, and one of the guys dove in the ice. One of the firefighters dove in the ice to save a kid. Came out. He ended up with the hypothermia so bad that like he took all his clothes off. He thought he was burning up. And he just went. Now he's in the hospital fighting for his life, and I won't know what happens till this week. And that's the hell of a TV series.
But that is a super common theme on, I guess I would say any kind of high altitude hiking or mountaineering, is you get this weird sense of like, I was telling you that one story before with a guy. They're just like, I'm just going to lay down. I'm going to warm up for a little bit. So, like, bro, you're dying. Let's go.
She froze right there. And for a long time, her body was one of the markers. Mm. And eventually it was blown over the edge of the mountain. So it looks like 1996, Tiswan Paljor died with several others in what's known as the 1986 Mount Everest disaster. On his way down the mountain again, he was trapped by a severe blizzard and died from exposure.
I think this was that movie, which you should watch. It's fucking awesome. Awesome, and
well, maybe I'll look for it tonight.
Has Josh Brolin in it?
Okay.
But I believe that is about this.
Okay. His 2 climbing companions died as well. He had bright green boots on. His nickname ended up being Green Boots. His body was used as a trail marker until 2014.
How fucked up is that?
So from 96 to 2014, his body was a trail marker. Go turn left at the Green Boot, guy.
That's how it was, yep.
Another climber took video of Paljor's body before it disappeared. And I have pictures of all these people.
Right.
And these things that I'm bringing up. I'm going to throw them up while we're going along here. So if you're listening on Spotify, we have video on Spotify, so you can watch it there. And while you're at it, while you're on Spotify, give us a 5-star review. Even
Give
if
us
you,
a thumbs up. Something.
even if you think we suck.
Anything.
So, 2005, Marko Lichnecker, Slovenian mountain climber, died at age 45 on his descent from Mount Everest. According to those who saw him last alive, he was trying to sort out problems with his oxygen system. A Chinese group of climbers came across him, offered him tea, but he could not drink. So I guess he was that far gone that he just, at that point where he said, I don't care.
I guarantee he was like, I'm good, bro.
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
But the one guy I was talking about, the group, actually, we've talked about it before. We didn't talk about it yet. There was a group going up and they saw this yellow spot on the mountain. I'm like, what the hell is that? It looks like someone's coat. So they went over and looked, and here this guy was still alive, but he was so delirious, he thought he was on a boat. He goes, oh, this is a nice boat trip. Where they had to hold him down and decide whether they were going to climb the rest of the mountain and summit or call for help. Well, they called for help, and it took hours to get there. And they said from that point, to get from that point down to the camp, not to the main camp, but the one above it, it took 11 hours.
So let me throw this in your wheelhouse. So you always say like, oh, you piece of shit, you wouldn't save me, whatever. So if you were playing the devil's advocate, if you paid $60,000, let's say whatever it costs, $60,000 to get out to this mountain to climb, and some fucking retard, we won't name names, but I'll think of some.
Well, it depends on what the name. If I know the name,
like just you knew you shouldn't have fucking been there,
no.
And now I got to come to your fucking savior.
No, you know what? I
would you do it?
I'm not one to quit at anything, but I could not leave someone to die.
Okay,
I couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
But I bet there's a bunch of assholes out there that would.
Well, this one here, the one I was talking about, the guy who thought he was on a boat. So these guys stayed with him. They didn't summit. And there was some Italian hikers that went by him, climbers. And they were calling out to him for help, and they yelled back, we don't speak any English, and kept going.
Mm-hmm.
So when they got back down to whatever town, Kathmandu or whatever it was down there, they saw these Italian hikers and they spoke perfect English. Like, what kind of, now,
at the end of the day, you gotta sleep with your own decisions.
This is how they got help. They had a satellite phone. On the guy's body was a 7 Summits climbing club. So they called it. And the guy who answered said, well, I'll send help up. And it turns out that they left them there. So they were coming down. He was having problems. And the Sherpas, and they decided rather than risk their own lives, they left him behind. So, we talked about this when we went out to Colorado. I said, if I have trouble, if I'm dying on a mountain, I do not give you permission to fucking leave me.
I'm gonna walk right over you, motherfucker.
You fucking stay with me? I don't care if you gotta grab me by my shoelace. So, all you cocksuckers in the 7 Summits Climbing Club, I don't want to be friends with any of you motherfuckers. Because you just leave your friend to die?
I think their type of hiking is a little different than what we were doing out in no, hold on, hear me out.
Oh, I climbed the Rocky Mountains, so kiss my ass.
On the other hand, I'm with you. Like, dude, I couldn't leave my friend behind.
If it were you and me out there, I would die with you before I left you behind.
But it's almost like that. It's like, dude, if you choose to stay behind, we're both dying.
Do you know how fucked up it would be for me to leave you to die? I don't have many friends to begin with.
Well, then
and to leave one of the guys who put up with me, like I'm just okay. I'm going to leave you. Fuck you. No,
I put up with you for 15 years, you cocksucker. You better get your ass back here. It's not right. I'm going to haunt you in your dreams. But that's what it is. Like, there's people like that. Like, in the end, like I said, you have to sleep with your decision.
I would be saying like, yeah, I've been meaning to tell you, I really don't like you. Bye.
Yeah. By the way,
I don't care if we've been just like band together.
Yeah. That meant nothing.
So that Marko was found deceased in that spot later on that year. David Sharp, 1972 to 2006. 2006, at age 34.
He was the he was who I was telling you about before I came here. I watched that movie. He would have been, that was his 5th summit. So he would have been the first American, or whoever the fuck he was.
It was English.
He would have been the first non-Sherpa to make his 5th summit without help from a Sherpa.
Oh.
And he died the year previous to the guy that did it the next year.
What? He climbed with insufficient oxygen, no radio or satellite phone, on his way up.
Sorry, in 2006 was that big storm. It killed, I think, 8 people.
This podcast is brought to you by Bear Claw Kitchen. Head on over to bearclawkitchen.com and check out their amazing selection of granola bars and granola snack packs. They also have hazel and spice granola butter, maple syrup, pancake mix, and a few different flavors of jam. So, once again, head over to bearclawkitchen.com and use code DELUXE15 at checkout to save 15% off your entire order. And then it's time to devour and claw on.
And
was that the one where the 11 Sherpas died?
No, I think they mentioned something about like a long conga line up to the top. Like, we don't like this. There's a storm coming in. And from what I assume, like I told you, they said, dude, we spent 2.5 months hiking up to this area.
Oh, okay, that's what you were just telling me.
And then they get to the conga line going up to the peak.
So this shark rested near Green Boots and eventually died in that spot. The controversy is more than 30 climbers went past him, and none were able or willing to assist him down the mountain. His body was eventually moved from its location. It's rumored the body is still on the mount, but it was moved out of sight at request of the family. Because they don't want, like, there's pictures of this.
Yeah.
They don't want people taking pictures of it. Here, this is Rainbow Valley. There is a summit just below Mount Everest, known as Rainbow Valley. It gets its name from the number of bodies dressed in bright jackets and pants that still remain on the mountain. There's photos of it, which I'll put up. A record number of climbers have taken on the mountain this year, but it was created a huge risk with ethnic Sherpas who work for. There's a section where I was watching this thing, and where the Sherpas say that there's a section where it's so dangerous just to walk through it that when they come back down through it, they run. They run through this section because constantly ice chunks are breaking off and killing people. This was the camp. Now this lady was here then because that windstorm came through. It started an avalanche. It swept through the camp, and she ended up helping people and didn't summit that year either. But these guys go up and clean up all this stuff as part of the government's cleanup drive. And
I think that 11 Sherpa thing you were talking about was the
year before this. Because
there was, I believe, in the last 5 years, maybe you want to say, there was an avalanche at base camp, and there was video of it.
Well, that was in 2017 or 15 or 16.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
and it killed 11 people, I think.
But now the year before that, I don't want to say the year before. This lady went up 3 times. The time that she went before that, whether it was just the previous year or if it was a couple years before, but from that base camp wipeout with the avalanche to 5 years before that, like there was like 39 people killed.
This is not a place where humans are supposed to dwell.
Okay, the worst part about this, all the trash and all the tents they leave up there, empty food cylinders, empty food packs, used rope. These people just dig a hole in the ground and shit in it.
That bothers me.
And then it gets into the water supply. And it's going down, and they don't know if it's an environmental hazard to the town below or not. But there's so much shit up there. I mean,
like, if we can post it.
That's it. The people that live in the shadow of Everest use the melted snow for their water supply, and they now feel fearful of contamination.
Well, I would be. How many dead bodies are up there?
Well, the dead bodies
and the poop and
The dead bodies are they froze in place. They're froze through like brittle freeze.
The trash and
Yeah,
well, imagine poop up there is going to be frozen too.
yeah, but if they use the melted snow, well, I don't know who's going to climb that high to get them up.
But it's definitely got to be like a significant amount of poop, dead bodies, trash. Like, look up Camp 4. Like, post it when you do this. Can you please post a picture of Camp 4? And that's what they said was like, this is the highest junkyard on planet Earth. And why are you proud of that?
I actually think I have a. Actually, I'll bring the picture up so you can see it.
Why? I'd be disgusted. I'd be like embarrassed to say that. Oh, this is the highest, most beautiful place on Earth, and we turned it into a junkyard.
This?
Yeah, it's you get up there, it's like you said, just leftover tents, ripping shit off, whatever you want.
There's crap laying everywhere. These are bags and bags of trash that they clean up from up there and bring down. Like, that's one of the bodies. That's Green Boots.
It's crazy.
That was I think that was the lady. She leaned back on her pack and
Succumb to the. Wow.
yeah, that's from Rainbow Valley. There's Green Boots in the spot where he was resting for. That's when he was a marker. Look at that trash.
Yeah. And all those flags there, those are all the Nepalese good luck flags that they would hang from your tent or.
Yeah, I always wondered what the heck that was.
Yeah.
Like, why are all these flags all over the place?
It's like a traditional Nepalese thing to ward off bad spirits. Like, don't quote me on that, but it's something like that.
I'm gonna quote you on it. Quote, John said, good luck.
But is that Everest in the background? I don't think so.
Don't know. I don't know.
I think that's base camp. So base camp is like, what, twice as high as anything in the Americas?
I don't know. Let's see. Talk about the cleanup up there. Rather than packing up heavy tents and taking them with them, campers suffer to breathe and fighting sickness. Simply leave them behind, tearing off the company logo so they can avoid detection. They say this guy says his trips up the mountain brought about 20,000 kilos of rubbish since 2008. Estimates that this season 30 tents were left on the mountain and nearly 5,000 kilos of rubbish. And bringing it back down could cause the Sherpas, to die. And now people are paying these Sherpas to go up and get their loved ones off the mountain. So they have these expeditions of like 12 Sherpas to go up, and they could easily die bringing someone's dead body back down.
Let me ask you this. Would you do that?
But
if you knew the circumstances going into hiking Mount Everest, like, dude, it's pretty much a 90% chance you're going to die. So if I die up there, do I want to have my family come get me down? Or just leave me up there?
Leave you up there. I don't care how much.
That's what I would say.
I don't care how much I need money.
Like, what are you going to get out of me coming back down?
They're trying to make the government do a couple things. Not allow inexperienced hikers or climbers to go up. Like, you have to have so much experience before you can go up.
Yeah.
But the government is hesitant to do it because, look, that's $20,000 less in their pocket.
And I think there's a lot of that goes on too.
They want to make the people take biodegradable waste bags for their poop.
Sure.
And make them carry their poops down.
There ain't no good poop trees up on Mount Everest.
No, there's not. It's hard to poop in the woods if you ain't got a good poop tree. There's a couple things that they want to do, but they never get around to doing it. And I just think it's just disgusting. That you're a climber. You're there to see the natural outdoors, and there you do. You leave your shit and defile the.
Let's just face it. Yeah, it's mountainous shit.
I paused because I was reading the food pairings on this Adroit Theory.
Plug.
It's Taiwanese oxtail ramen with sous vide eggs.
I'll try that. How's the beer taste?
I like it. It's slightly different than the last.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try this.
Try it out. 8%. So, my problem with this is twofold. That all the garbage that they leave up there, and the fact that they're expecting someone else to put themselves in harm's way just so they could say they climbed the highest mountain in the world. If you're going to do it, do it. And even if you can hire someone to take you up, okay, I get that. But don't leave your fucking trash up there.
But they can't. They can't do it. If they were told that they got you, listen, you have to go up. You came in. What's that old saying we say here? You hike in and you hike out with the same shit.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I'm going to say this. Anybody who has summited Mount Everest, if you didn't do it on your own, it don't mean shit.
You're a bitch.
You're a bitch. And you could say, well, you're sitting there, you fat fuck. You're not climbing no mountain.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm not going to climb the mountain because I'm not going to be leaving my shit up there for someone else to do. And I'm not putting someone else's life at risk just so I can say, look what I did.
I'll tell you what. I summited Hawk Mountain and I leave nothing behind.
Amen.
Multiple times.
I have too. I walked up and down that mountain like 10 times in one day. I had the work crew out there doing work. We had to go up and down that mountain 10 times in one day. I was a Sherpa that day.
You know, it's just
I was a Pennsylvania Sherpa.
I firmly believe that. Okay, it might. They say it's not the most technically hardest mountain as compared. It's not the hardest mountain to climb if you're a mountaineer. Technically, if you could just put one foot in front of the other, but it is hard to survive.
Yeah, the storms that come up there, the winds that come up, it makes it near impossible for helicopters to make rescues. Like, it's a harsh environment.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Just because you can doesn't mean someone else should take you.
Yeah. Okay, so
you want to say you summited Mount Everest? That's fine. Do it. Carry your own shit up and bring your own shit down.
I could dive to the bottom of the ocean, but am I going to pollute fucking half of the ocean while doing so?
You'll probably piss on the way down.
Oh, it definitely piss. My piss is like pretty much clean beer, like
it's perfume.
Miller Lite. I'm pretty sure that's drinkable. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I do.
It does. I'm right there with you, Mike. Like, pissing me off. Like, you done polluted, like, the highest, most cleanest.
One of the most beautiful places in the world. The most should be the most pristine. And your ego had you climb it and leave shit lay around.
And half the people that climb it don't make the summit. They come back down prematurely.
And you know what? Even those people, I say, congrats, bro. You didn't put anybody else at risk to go up and summit.
So they're trying 4, 5 times a year, for each year for like 5 years.
For that lady, she did it 3 times.
Yeah.
That doctor. And you know, okay, you climbed, but you didn't do it by yourself.
I would like to Google that. Who has climbed Everest by themselves? You know what it's going to be? It's going to be like them guys from the 30s with like the leather boots.
50s.
And 50s, whatever.
1924 is when the first guy tried. They don't know if he summited, because he disappeared. But he had. Here's the thing. Sir Edmund Hillary, The first one to officially climb.
It's a good beer.
It is good. He's the first one to. So his Sherpa came down and ended up being a rich man because Sir Edmund Hillary paid him a shitload of money to do it. So his son was able to move out of Nepal, and I think they said he lives in San Francisco now. But his son, in an interview, said, "If my dad would see what it has become, he would have never went up,
right?
Because of all the trash." And now Nepal gives out 1,000 permits a year to climb Everest. So let's just say 80% of them people summit, which may be high. I don't know. 800 people a year summit that mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a small pool of people leaving all that trash up there because you're dirty bastards.
Yeah. But they really give them no choice. They don't say, hey, you have to take your crap with you. Like, you haul out what you take in.
They should. Absolutely.
No. And it's not that way. It's like, just dump it on the side of the mountain.
You take it up and bring it down, or you're paying someone to bring it down. We're not paying for it, and you ain't leaving nothing there. If you die in the mountain, your family's got to pay to get your shit off it. So,
I think, what did they say for like every?
I sound a little bitter about this, but
every
I am.
100 people who summit, one dies.
Well,
which would make sense. Like, how many people? Oh, I asked you. I was like, yo, how many people died on Mount Everest? I thought it was like 30 or 40. Like, no, it's like
305.
305 that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of.
Like, they really don't seem to like take care of like counting.
It was 305 as of January last year.
Like, you would think, who the fuck is Green Boots? Don't know.
Yeah.
Some dude.
Green Boots is Tishwan Paljor.
But
Sishwang.
I think of all the other people do they know who all of them are?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Who got blown over the side of the mountain?
Well, the guy that I was talking about that with the yellow jacket, they looked through his pockets to find his information. So he had his ID on him and that card from the Seven Summits Mountaineering Club. But all the rest of his shit was gone. His oxygen tank, so they took his shit from him. When they left him behind, they emptied his bag out and took his shit with him. Like his extra oxygen. Like, look, you Seven Summits are a bunch of motherfuckers. To not only leave them, but take everything from them that could help him get out of there. Now, the guy ended up losing fingertips, and I don't know if his brain was ever right. I didn't see the culmination of it, but he ended up having water on the brain, but he survived. But he was up there overnight. So how many of the people went by and didn't stop to help him? But this group, and I'll give this group credit, even though they're still part of the problem. This group did stop and help him, and they chose to stay with him rather than summit. Which, like you said, you spend $60,000 to get there and then not do it. But in the end, what they did was much more valuable than saying I climbed Mount Everest or I summited Mount. They could still say they climbed Everest. They just didn't summit.
Right.
They saved someone's life. That is invaluable.
But that's never reported. It's like they don't give a crap about saving somebody's life. They give a crap about summiting. That's all Mount Everest is. Did you summit?
It's literally just a mountain to climb.
And I thought on the way over here when I was watching that video, I'm like, what's the point? And the guy was like up there, he's like breathing through his oxygen mask. He's like, stop views! All worth it! And then I think he died on the way down. It's like,
so what's the name of that movie about the?
It's got Josh Brolin. I know that it's a really good fucking.
I'll look it up quick. Keep talking. What else you got?
I just got the one video I watched before I came over here. Kind of dealt with like the scientific of what happens to your body when you climb Mount Everest, which was really cool.
Oh yeah, go through that.
So they did some kind of like cognitive test before they left. They made them read like a.
Was it the Goonies?
Yes, that's it. The Goonies. It was about the I believe it was 2006 disaster on Mount Everest. Keep going.
He was in Planet Terror?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't, he was in Milk?
Never saw it.
He was in Jonah Hex?
You're joking.
Was he Jonah Hex? I love Jonah Hex. Oh boy. Scario. Everest, there it is.
Huh, I'm not a guest.
I'll have to look that up and see if I can get it. Watch it. The trailer's going to play behind us.
Let's play.
Playing.
Deal with that.
Nope, that was it.
Really?
Well, no, I can't turn the sound on because we're using the soundboard.
Oh, well, pick it up?
No.
I don't know nothing about this shit.
I got to figure out how to do that shit. Anyway.
Yeah, so where was that? These two guys went up and they were trying, the whole goal was to figure out, does your brain shrink when you go up in a high altitude, like a stroke, or does it not? So these guys went up, they summited, and they came back down, and it was kind of like inconclusive. But
Spit it out there, buddy. And it's gone.
Yeah. Totally.
So they were measuring the effects on the brain.
Yes. And it really wasn't like
Oh, you were talking about they had him repeat a nursery rhyme or something?
yeah, like a stupid like nursery rhyme or listen to a high tone, a low tone, and tell me how many high tones you hear. But as the further they got up, the worse they got.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, when I'm up like 29,000 feet, all I got to worry about is like not dying. Why the fuck do I care about your stupid nursery rhyme? I'm like, Mary had a little lamb. She's a bitch. Fuck herself. Get out of my way. Like I don't want to repeat what you're saying. Like
Jack and Jill went up the hill both with $1.25.
Oh, Jill came down. Fucking whore.
Jill came down with $2.50. Fucking whore.
Okay, so what I was going to say was like, first off, I didn't know this, but the two guys that set off were like, we've been hiking for 2.5 months before we got to base camp.
I wonder if they were like hiking through Nepal.
They might have been. I don't know.
Because your window the window of being able to climb this
like,
is 8 weeks.
Like if you pull up like the graph of the time that you have to hike Mount Everest.
It's 2 months out of the year.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Oh, that's what I wanted to touch on. We've been talking about the death zone. So the death zone is the last 8,000 feet.
Okay.
So from, just say 30,000 feet down to 22,000 feet. That's considered the death zone. The whole time you're in there, your body is dying slowly.
Yeah. Now they have things to combat that.
Right. You could take oxygen with you. You need to take mass amounts of protein.
They have a bag that's what do they call it? It's I call it something else. The Gandalf bag.
Gandalf bag.
It's something really close to that. It's like the Garum bag, but it's
the Gandolfini bag.
It's a hyperbaric chamber. So if you're fucked up, like this, like guys like will get up there, they can't walk, and they're
Oh, it's the same way if you're diving and you get the bends, you got to go into a hyperbaric chamber.
so they put you in this bag, and there's a guy on the outside pumping it up by foot.
Isn't that killing him slowly then?
No, well, he's healthier, so he's pumping this fucking bag you're in, and it what it does is it simulates lowering the pressure that you're at. So they said when it's at full pressure, you might be at like 27,000 feet, and you're down below 10,000 feet, like you're supposed to be. So, you're not experiencing all the.
I would have to say I wouldn't fare well on this if I got a headache at 10,000 feet.
I don't think any of us would, dude. I don't think a lot of people do. There's a lot of healthy people that go up. They go up, and they're fucked up with like lung infections, nosebleeds, whatever, and they still summit and they come back down. And
you're not meant to be that high.
You're not.
Like, you're talking this mountain, where they're summiting is where a airliner usually cruises.
Yeah.
That level.
You want to high five a fucking
the jumbo jet?
Jumbo jet?
So anyway, that's freaking Mount Everest.
Dude, it's sick. It's
I think this truly is the dark side of Everest.
That's the other thing I wanted to touch on. Is a lot of people that go up there, they get that pulmonary edema.
Yeah.
So what that is
where your pulmonary edemas.
Your lungs, they fill up with a like plasma fluid.
Right.
It leaks through. Basically, it fills your lungs up.
Like if you had pneumonia.
Like if you had pneumonia, you pretty much drown to death.
Yeah.
And that's just from going to high altitude.
I don't know. I don't get it.
I get it, but I don't. I would never do it, but I love watching.
I've done stuff for the thrill of doing something. I've done that. But this, every time I've done it and put myself at risk.
Yeah, but this is the highest, most, I wouldn't say, it's not the most technical, but it's the highest mountain. And I would never do it, but like I'm not addicted to it, but I kind of see it. Like, holy shit! Like I would never do that in my life.
I don't know. I just think when you're putting other people at risk, it's no longer something that should be even considered.
Oh, it's like 110, 120, right?
Yeah, 110, 120. It all depends on the person, and I think the people who do it are selfish bastards.
Sure.
And I'm not just saying that because I don't think I could do it.
Like, why wouldn't you
I know I couldn't do it.
$70,000 on some kind of medical expenditure that would save a kid's lung or something.
That's neither here nor there. Your money, you spend it how you want. I don't give a shit how you spend it.
Fuck that dumb kid. I'm going to hike Mount Everest.
I'm not going to judge someone how they spend their own money. If they want to spend their money on a prostitute spanking them, I don't freaking care. It's none of my business. So, that is the dark side of Mount Everest. I think if you have climbed Everest, you didn't do it by yourself, you didn't carry all your own shit up there, and carry all your shit back down, then you didn't do anything. You're a bum. So we took that on. Now you go take on the world. But not Everest.
Our podcasts exist because of listeners like you. To find other great shows, head over to the Den.show. Thanks for listening.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that.
even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.